Emily took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts as she scanned the letter S pages. Her father's handwriting was both familiar and oddly comforting. It filled the spaces around them with echoes of laughter and warmth. She remembered lazy afternoons spent on the porch, their father spinning tales that danced between fantasy and reality. "Okay," she said, determination creeping back into her voice. "Let us read more." As she continued, John leaned in closer, captivated by the way her expression shifted from nostalgia to something deeper, an infusion of acknowledgement, a tracing of lines they had both ignored for years. "And I hope," Emily read aloud, her voice steadying, "that you both will choose love over bitterness." She paused, biting her lip as the weight of his words hit her. "Love over bitterness. Can we really choose that?" "Yes," John replied, surprise rushing through him at how simple it sounded. "We can. It's hard, but we can." Emily hesitated, weighing her words carefully. "What if we bring everything back to the surface? Maybe we aren't ready." "Sometimes you can't wait for the right moment," John said, remembering how they used to jump into the river, shivering but exhilarated. "You just need to dive in." That S when Emily found another letter, its edges ragged and worn. "This one feels different," she said, curiosity filling her voice. She opened it and began to read again. "Dear Emily," she recited, her mind flashing back to every time their father had written to her directly over the years. "If you are reading this, it means my time has ended. But even in absence, I want you to find joy in each other." The words flowed, unspooling a new thread of connection, washing away some of the mud settling on their hearts. Emily glanced at John, seeing the flicker of hope light up his eyes. They were stepping onto shared territory, stitching together their fragmented existence. "Think about it. He truly believed we could come together," she said softly. "As a family," John agreed, feeling the truth in those simple words. She read on. The letter went deeper, voicing fears, regrets, and a persistent wish for healing. "He was scared," Emily mused, her voice thick with emotion. "He didn't know how to fix what was broken." "That makes two of us," John sighed, staring down at the box filled with their father's past. They sat in silence for a moment. Each strum of their hearts reverberated through the air. What had been a drift toward estrangement now breathed with possibility. Finally, Emily looked up, her mind racing. What if we take his plans seriously? What if we work together to create something he would have loved, something to honor his memory? John's breath caught in his throat. "You mean, reuniting the family? Making peace? It sounds impossible." "But maybe impossible is what we're meant to pursue," she insisted. He had a vision. "We can't just ignore that. It's our legacy now." A weight hung in the air, thickening between them. John nodded slowly, uncertainty creeping in. "But how do we do that? We barely talk as it is." "First we start with this," Emily said, gesturing to the letters. "And then, we reach out to everyone else, all of them. The aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone." That decision landed heavily, yet it was freeing. They both felt the walls of isolation slowly beginning to crack. Could they really take the plunge, reach out to the rest of the family, and weave back the connections their father so desperately wished for? "What if it goes wrong?" John asked, the flicker of anxiety clouding his excitement. She shrugged, her smile a blend of confidence and vulnerability. "What if it goes right?" A spark of momentum ignited between them. They could see it now across the room, through the box, and beyond their closed hearts. They were standing on the brink of something. As they leaned over the box, a slip of paper slipped out from below the others, unnoticed until now. It wafted down like a feather, coming to rest on the floor near Emily's feet. She picked it up, glancing at John as curiosity crept back into her expression. "What is this?" she asked, opening it. With a mixture of dread and anticipation. John's heart raced as she read the words aloud. "I have a secret to tell you about your father." They exchanged a look, something deeper underlining their bond, growing in that shared uncertainty. What could this revelation mean for them, especially now? And as the shadows of the past began to unfurl, what would it change for the future? Emily's hand trembled slightly as she held the slip of paper. She reread the line, "I have a secret to tell you about your father." Her heartbeat quickened, anticipation weaving through her uncertainty. What do you think it is? John asked, leaning closer. His breath caught in the tense air between them. His eyes reflected a mixture of worry and curiosity. I don't know, she whispered, folding and unfolding the fragile paper nervously. But it feels important. She hesitated for a moment, her mind racing with possibilities. What secret could their father have kept? Could it be something that would explain their family's tumultuous history? Or perhaps a hidden love, a change of heart in his later years? She felt a daunting sense of dread settle into her stomach. Should we read it? John's voice cut through her thoughts. Yeah, she replied, her voice firming up. We should. With that, she started to unfold the paper carefully, as if it could shatter if she moved too fast. The words danced before her, a mix of longing and regret swirling around them. Dear Emily and John, she recited softly, pausing to gather herself. There's something about my past that I've never shared. A truth that I chose to bury for too long. John's expression shifted. She could see the tension in his jaw tighten. In my youth, I made mistakes. Choices that led me away from the family I hold dear. She felt John's eyes on her, urging her on. You both deserve to know that I was involved with someone who is connected to your family in a way you don't expect. Emily swallowed hard. Was their father talking about a hidden relationship? Or perhaps a secret child? The implications sent a ripple of confusion through her. Someone connected? John echoed. What does that even mean? Let us finish, she said, forcing her voice to remain steady as she continued reading. I hope this doesn't change how you view me, but I felt it was time to be honest. You're both brave enough to face the truth, whatever it may hold. Find a way to connect with this part of our story, and perhaps it will lead you to healing. Emily felt a knot of emotion settle in her chest. Healing. It was a word painted with the pressing need for reconciliation. Healing from this? She murmured. John leaned back, furrowing his brow deeply. This could change everything we thought we knew. We need to figure out who he's talking about. An unsettling silence enveloped them as they processed the weight of the letter. Emily broke the stillness, her voice trembling. What if there are more secrets? What if this revelation upends our whole family? What if we don't like the truth? John's response was immediate. What if we do? What if this is the bridge we need to mend the rift in our family? She glanced at the box on the floor, filled with their father's belongings, holding unwritten stories and memories that begged to be unearthed. I guess we have no choice but to find out, she said, determination hardening her voice. As they sat there, piecing together the threads of secrecy and honesty, John continued, let us reach out to the family. Whoever this person is, they might have answers. Emily felt the weight of fear mixed with courage. It was one thing to dream about healing, it was another to pursue it head-on. But for their father, she would gather that strength. Okay, let us do it, she said softly. We can start with Mom, she might know something. John nodded, eyes brightening with resolve. They stood, fueled by a shared commitment to face whatever lay ahead. Just as they were about to leave, the sound of a car engine filled the driveway outside. It was loud and foreign, a disruption to their fragile focus. What now? Emily asked, glancing toward the window. Only one way to find out. As they approached the door, their hearts raced with an exhilarating fear, unaware that at that moment, a family member they hadn't spoken to in ages was stepping out of the car ready to dive into the mess they had just committed to untangling. Would this be the opening they needed, or just another complication? The door creaked as Emily and John stepped outside. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the driveway, and the unfamiliar car, a weathered blue sedan, seemed to hold secrets of its own. As the driver emerged, recognition sparked within John's gaze. Aunt Maggie? He whispered, disbelief washing over him. How long had it been since they last saw her? Years filled with silence and unspoken words. Emily felt a mix of emotions swirling in her chest. Aunt Maggie had always been a distant part of their lives. Family gatherings had turned awkward, and she had slipped away like a whispered goodbye. The possibility of her connection to their father's secret took root in the back of her mind. Maggie looked older, the lines on her face deeper than she remembered. She hesitated for a heartbeat, then opened her arms wide. Hey there, you two. Emily and John exchanged glances before stepping into her embrace. Strange how a familiar scent of lavender and old leather could provoke feelings of comfort and unease all at once. As they pulled back, Emily couldn't help but notice the sadness lurking in Aunt Maggie's eyes. "It's been a while," John said softly, the weight of the moment pressing on them. "Yes, too long," she replied, her voice cracking slightly. I came to see how you were holding up after your father's passing. I heard there were things he wanted to share." Emily felt a bolt of electricity at those words. "You mean the letter?" "Yeah, the one about his past?" "I know more than I've let on," but Aunt Maggie hesitated. The shadows of doubt flitted across her expression. "But what?" Emily pressed. "We're trying to understand whatever it is he wanted us to know." Aunt Maggie's breath hitched as she stepped back, seemingly weighing how much to reveal. "There are things that families need to confront," she said slowly. "Things that can either break you apart or bring you together." John's eyes narrowed. "You're being cryptic. We need answers." "Then let us sit down." "I think it's best we go somewhere we can talk freely," Maggie suggested, her voice low and cautious. They nodded, and as they moved toward the porch, the gravity of the moment pressed heavily on them. Once seated, Emily felt the urge to rush. "Aunt Maggie, what did you mean about his past? Who is this person he mentioned?" Maggie's eyes drifted away, lost in a memory. "Your dad, he was involved with someone before he met your mom. Someone who tied back to our family in a way no one expected. It was a complicated story, and maybe that's why he never spoke of it." John leaned in, his voice earnest. "What do you know? Did he have a child? Did he hurt someone?" "I can't offer certainty," Maggie admitted, her voice shaking. "But the choices he made affected all of us. It wouldn't be fair to keep you in the dark." The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. Emily's heart raced with urgency. "We need to confront this. Whatever he did, we can't let his mistakes define us. We can't let secrets tear us apart." "Easy to say," Aunt Maggie replied resolutely. "But truth is often messy and painful. You think you're ready for it?" Emily and John exchanged a determined glance. They had already decided there was no turning back. They had to confront their family's history, no matter the cost. Just then, the sound of laughter broke through the tension, a little girl playing across the street, pure and unguarded. Emily felt a pang of longing, wishing to protect her future from the weight of past secrets. "We will find out," John affirmed, his hand resting on Emily's shoulder. "No matter how hard." Maggie nodded, a glimmer of admiration rising in her gaze. "All right then. But I need to warn you. Some truths are more heart-wrenching than you can imagine. Are you prepared?" Emily took a deep breath, steeling herself. "We have to be." As they prepared to dive deeper into the secrets of their father's life, a chilling wind swept through, almost as if warning them of the storm that lay ahead. Was the truth really something they could handle? A loud thud from within the house jolted them wide awake. Just then, the sound of a phone ringing filled the air, a call that could change everything. Would it be the key to the answers they desperately sought? The phone kept ringing, its sharp tone piercing the quiet. Emily's heart raced. She wanted to believe it was some kind of answer, some piece of the puzzle that would make sense of everything. "Should we answer?" John asked, his brow furrowed. "Yes. Maybe it's the attorney," Emily replied, her voice dripping with urgency. "It could be about Dad's will." Maggie hesitated. "It could be," she frowned, her gaze darting between them. "But it's best to focus on what I was saying first." A loud thud followed by a soft groan echoed from inside the house again, breaking Maggie's concentration. Emily's stomach twisted. Something was off. "Can't we just check?" Emily pushed, rising to her feet. The nagging feeling grew within her that whatever lay behind that door was entwined with the secrets their father had left behind. Maggie remained still, but Emily could see her hands trembling slightly. "You really should think carefully about what you're about to do." "Why? Are you hiding something?" John shot back, the tension rising as he stood beside Emily. She could feel the heat of his frustration as much as her own. "I'm not hiding anything." Just Maggie paused, and it felt like an eternity. "Let me explain this first." Emily clenched her fists. "Fine. But we can't ignore the sound." Maybe it's just something falling, Maggie said softly, but her voice lacked conviction. As if on cue, the phone rang louder, demanding attention. It was as if every sound, the laughter from the child across the street, the creaking of the trees, was urging them toward that call, toward the hidden truths. Let us just see what it is. John moved toward the door, and without thinking, Emily followed. They stepped inside, leaving Maggie behind on the porch. The air was cooler, and something felt off, like the house itself was holding its breath. The phone lay atop the kitchen counter, its screen lighting up with a number they didn't recognize. Emily picked it up, holding her breath as she answered. Hello? The voice on the other end was familiar yet distant. Emily? It's Mark, your dad's attorney. Mark, she exclaimed, a mix of shock and hope flooding through her. What is going on? We need to know about the will. What did Dad leave us? There was a pause. I'm sorry to be the bearer of shocking news, but there are conditions tied to his will, and it's crucial you both understand them before proceeding. What kind of conditions? John's voice was sharp, filled with tension. The only way to inherit is to confront your past together. There are ties to your father's other life, and they all must be addressed in person. What? What does that even mean? Emily's thoughts raced. Are we talking about the person he was involved with before Mom? Yes, and more, Mark continued, his tone grave. You need to come to my office tomorrow. There's something about a daughter that needs clarification. Emily felt her heart drop like a stone. A daughter? Dad had another child? She glanced at John, but the shock in his eyes mirrored her own. Wait, a daughter? John questioned, his voice cracking slightly. Are you saying it's all in the will? Mark interrupted gently. I can't give away more over the phone. It's essential you both hear this together. Okay, Emily finally said, her voice barely a whisper. We'll be there. After hanging up, the weight of the revelation hung heavily in the air. A daughter, John repeated, looking lost. What does that change? Emily felt a surge of confusion and anger. It might change everything. How could he? A muffled voice called out from the living room, breaking their bubble of shock. Hey, is anyone there? They exchanged glances, hearts racing again. Who is that? Emily's breath quickened. Maggie appeared in the doorway, her face pale. What is happening? The child's voice spoke louder now. I can't find you. Is it? John started, but his voice dropped. No. Emily turned, her own wall of resistance shattering as dread turned to fiery determination. We can't let more of this come crashing down on us. Just as they began to move toward the voice, a thought struck Emily. The call, the revelations, they were only the beginning. Are we ready for this? John whispered, uncertainty cropping up in his eyes. Ready or not, we're going in. With one last shared glance, they stepped toward the darkness, facing the unknown together. What awaited them might rip their family apart or finally stitch it back together in healing. But one thing was certain, the past wasn't done with them yet. Emily took a deep breath, pushing the door to the living room open wider. As they stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. The shadows flickered ominously along the walls, and the faint smell of mildew hung in the air, a reminder of how long it had been since anyone had tried to make the space feel homey. Hello? John called out, his voice steady, though uncertainty danced in his eyes. The child's voice echoed once more, a sweet plea laced with desperation. I can't find you. Where are you? Emily shouted, her heart racing as she scanned the room. Old furniture lay neglected, dust covering everything like a heavy blanket. It felt like a museum of their past, filled with memories long forgotten. Suddenly, from the corner of the room, a figure emerged. A small girl, no older than 8, her hair in messy curls. She looked lost, but curious, her wide eyes seeming to hold a depth of understanding far beyond her years. There you are, Emily exclaimed, relief washing over her. What is your name? The girl hesitated, biting her lip as if weighing the implications of her answer. Maddie, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet bright with innocence. Maddie? John repeated, still trying to comprehend. Are you okay? What are you doing here? Maddie shrugged, her little shoulders rising and falling as she looked at them both. I was just playing hide and seek. but I didn't see anyone else. Emily's heart sank. Playing hide and seek in a house like this? It felt so wrong. Did you come here alone? Maddie nodded, her eyes locking onto Emily's. A lady brought me. She said it was time for us to play. Lady? John frowned, exchanging a frantic glance with Emily. What lady? I don't know, Maddie replied, her brow furrowing in thought. She said she was looking for a special family. She said it was very important for you to meet me. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. This was too much to process. The revelation of their father's other child, the last phone call with Mark, and now this little girl claiming to be a part of it? Maddie, Emily knelt down to her level, trying to keep her voice calm. Do you know anything about a will? Or about a daddy? A different daddy? Maddie's eyes lit up. Oh, you mean my dad? He told me I would meet my sisters soon. Emily's breath caught. Sisters? There was so much coming at them at once, she felt dizzy. You're saying that you're? Your sister. Maddie smiled widely, her innocence washing over Emily's fears. I'm your sister. Wait a minute, John interrupted, his voice a mix of bewilderment and disbelief. This can't be real. But there she was, standing in front of them, more real than the secrets that had started to unravel. Emily straightened herself, taking a step closer to Maddie. She felt her heart twist, emotions colliding, a mixture of protectiveness and confusion overwhelming her. Maddie, I need to know more. Can you tell us what you know? Emily pressed, desperate for a thread of clarity in the chaos. Mommy said Daddy had secrets, Maddie explained, her voice suddenly dropping to a whisper. And a treasure. But it was secret, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it. Treasure? John echoed, his brow furrowing. The mention of treasure ignited a flicker of intrigue even amid their confusion. Yeah, it was a thing he kept locked in a box. Daddy said it would help us all understand why I came. She gazed at them with wide, innocent eyes, as if they held the keys to all the mysteries in her world. Emily felt a spark ignite within her. We need to find this box, Maddie. The weight of decisions pressed heavily on her shoulders. It might help us make sense of everything. And then, the muffled sounds from outside drew them all back to reality, the world beyond the walls still buzzing with life, oblivious to their turmoil. The unexpected reunion of sisters and the constellations of their father's hidden life had started to form. What if we're all entangled in a web of lies? John whispered, watching Maddie carefully, as if she might disappear. What then? Emily's gaze anchored on Maddie. We'll face it together. All of us. As Emily grasped Maddie's hand, a rush of determination surged through her. They were family, whether they were ready or not. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, sending a shiver across the room. The moment hung in a fragile balance, ready to shatter into pieces. All eyes turned toward the darkened corridor behind them. What now? John murmured, fear creeping back into his voice. The past clawed at them, eager to unveil more. Emily's pulse quickened as she steeled herself for whatever awaited them. They could no longer ignore the truth. Would this be their moment of reckoning, or the beginning of their downfall? Only one way to find out. Emily's heart raced as the echoes of the crash faded into a heavy silence. The room felt suspended, shadows creeping closer, wrapping around them like thick fog. John stood rigid, eyes wide, scanning the corridor as if trying to catch a glimpse of whatever had caused the disturbance. Maddie, Emily said softly, crouching down to the girl's eye level, can you stay close to us? There was a protective instinct bubbling under the surface. She didn't want Maddie wandering off into the unknown. Yes, Maddie nodded, clutching Emily's hand tightly. John took a cautious step toward the hallway, his feet barely making a sound against the creaky floors. Let us check it out. Emily followed, heart pounding. The walls felt like they were closing in, filled with memories that weren't theirs to claim but screamed loudly, binding them to a past they had no part in. As they neared the darkness just beyond the doorway, the shadows twisted and flickered as if alive. Hello? John called again, his voice tremulous this time. No answer. Just the lingering air, heavy and foreboding. Maddie, Emily whispered, kneeling again. Do you know what made the noise? A ghost? she offered with wide, innocent eyes. Emily smiled sadly, trying to lighten the atmosphere. Let us hope it's just our imaginations. Gathering her courage, she stepped into the darkened hallway, guided by a sliver of light peeking through the window at the end. As they moved forward, the other rooms seemed to pulse with emotion, joy, pain, confusion, all trapped in the things left behind. John turned to her, his voice barely above a murmur. Whatever is in this house, it belongs to Dad, and maybe to us now, but it feels like it wants to keep its secrets. What do you mean? Emily asked, trying to suppress the creeping fear twisting in her stomach. He was never honest with us. The revelation of Maddie, it's just the tip of the iceberg. John's frustration cut through the air. Maybe he left us clues. Maybe the treasure is more than just a locked box, he said, his voice lowering conspiratorially. Suddenly, a soft whimper came from the other side of the hallway, faint but distinct. Maddie! Emily exclaimed, fear flooding her veins. Stay close. She squeezed the girl's hand. Let us find out where that sound is coming from. They continued hesitantly, stepping into the cluttered space beyond the threshold. Shadows danced across the walls, amplifying the unease settling in the pit of her stomach. In the corner of the next room, they saw a string of broken toys scattered about, and an old rocking chair swayed back and forth as if someone had just gotten up. Maddie, John said softly, searching for reassurance in the girl's wide eyes. Is your dad here? Can you feel him? Maddie leaned closer to Emily. He said he'd be watching, but I don't know. The air was heavy, packed with uncertain energy. Emily could feel it tightening around them. What does that mean, Maddie? Watching for what? The overwhelming silence was punctured by another sound, a creaking floorboard, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps above them. The three of them froze. Maddie, where does your dad live? John asked sharply, his senses on high alert. I don't know. Maddie's voice trailed off as dread marred her features. Their breaths quickened as they exchanged worried glances. The realization they were not alone overrode their nerves, igniting a spontaneous anger. Who or what was in this house with them? Stay right here, Emily instructed, moving forward with John by her side, leaving Maddie hidden in the shadows. The footsteps grew louder, descending with a relentless persistence. Just as they were about to round the corner to investigate, Maddie tugged at Emily's sleeve, urgency lacing her voice. Wait, what if it's the lady? The one who brought me? Lady? John echoed, confusion twisting his features. What lady? The important one, Maddie insisted. Her eyes were wide, reflecting a flicker of fear. She said she had something for us. Emily's mind raced. They had come for the truth. They wanted to find the box. But what if this lady was part of the puzzle? Or part of the danger? Another crash echoed from above, the weight of it reverberating through the floor, rattling their resolve. Fear and curiosity intertwined, pushing them forward. Should we go up? John whispered, his voice a coal of uncertainty. Emily felt the intensity grow, the room enveloping them in its dark embrace. We have to. Whatever is up there, it might be the key to understanding everything. With a shared nod, they pressed on, hearts pounding like war drums, ready to confront whatever awaited them. The thrill of discovery mingled with fear, propelling them deeper into their father's tangled legacy. But with every step, a creeping sense of dread loomed closer, reminding them that some secrets might not want to be uncovered. What lay beyond would test them in ways they never expected. As Emily, John, and Maddie climbed the staircase, the air thickened around them, electric with fear and curiosity. The wooden steps creaked underfoot, echoing their heartbeats, one at a time, like a countdown to an unknown fate. Maddie held onto Emily's hand tightly, her little fingers trembling, and Emily could feel the weight of her sister's innocence pressing down on her. What if the lady we're looking for is dangerous? John murmured, glancing nervously back at Maddie. Let us just be cautious. Stick together, Emily replied, trying her best to keep her voice steady, even though her own insides danced with apprehension. They reached the landing, a dark hallway stretching out ahead of them. The unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed again, this time louder and more deliberate. Emily felt her throat tighten, but she pressed forward, driven by a mixture of courage and an urge to protect her sister. "Maddie," she said, crouching down to make eye contact. "You're safe with us. No matter what happens, we'll face it together." The little girl nodded, a flicker of trust lighting up her big eyes. John led the way, his demeanor fierce, but focused as they approached a door at the end of the hall, a door that seemed to hum with energy, as if it were alive, pressing against the weight of secrets. Emily's heart raced as they stood before it. Taking a deep breath, she reached for the knob, but before she could turn it, Maddie spoke up. "What if it's her?" The girl said, a note of urgency creeping into her voice. "The lady with the secrets?" "I don't know," John admitted, and his brow was lined with worry. "But we need to find out." As Emily pushed the door open, it creaked loudly, a long, drawn-out sound that echoed like a warning. The room inside was dimly lit, remnants of a once vibrant life enveloped in dust and shadows. Old furniture loomed like specters, and photos lined the walls, glimpses of a family that felt almost foreign yet hauntingly familiar. "Hello?" John called into the void, the loneliness of their surroundings pressing in on them. Silence answered back, heavy and consuming. Just then, a figure emerged from the other side of the room, stepping into the faint light. A woman, tall and imposing, with long dark hair and deep-set eyes that seemed to hold the history of the world. She wore a worn leather jacket, her presence commanding yet enigmatic. "Who are you?" Emily asked, stepping forward, her heart in her throat. "What do you want?" The woman studied them for a moment, a flicker of recognition crossing her features before a veil of coldness fell in its place. "I'm here for the same reason you are. To uncover the past." "Uncover what?" John pressed, crossing his arms. "Do you know our father?" "I do," the woman replied, her voice low and steady. "And I know the truth that he took to his grave. You deserve to know what he kept hidden." Emily felt a flicker of anger rise. "Was he ashamed of us? Of you?" "Nothing like that," the woman said, shaking her head. "He loved you both. But there were things he believed were best left untouched, connections that should have never been." "Maddie?" John's voice shattered the tension like glass. "Are you saying this you're involved in this?" Maddie blinked up at them, confusion dancing behind her innocent eyes. "Mommy said he had secrets, but I didn't know." The woman looked down, a sigh escaping her lips. "Yes, Maddie is your sister. The daughter your father kept secret. He regretted it deeply. It was never his intention to keep you apart, but circumstances were complicated." "Maddie, you're my sister?" Emily exclaimed, realizing the weight of truth that collapsed between them like an avalanche of emotions. She could hardly wrap her mind around it, but it felt right, raw, and necessary. "I'm your sister," Maddie cheered, her little voice ringing with glee amid the chaos. The purity of her excitement cut through the tension, drawing Emily and John back together, not with resentment, but with the shared realization that blood ran deeper than the bitterness of their past. "But why now?" John asked, his voice trembling with mixed emotions. "Why reveal this now, after everything?" The woman stepped closer, her gaze piercing. "Because it's time for reconciliation. Your father's death opened a door he couldn't see. He wanted you to know. This was always a part of him, and part of you." Maddie reached out for Emily's hand, her small fingers wrapping around hers, as if sensing the shifting tides. "Mommy always said it was about family and friends." Emily's heart swelled, the little girl's words a balm to her wounds, an implicit reminder that the fabric of their lives was woven through shared love. "We can work together," she said softly, the growing warmth in her voice steadying her resolve. "We can figure this out." "But how?" John asked, uncertainty still flickering in his eyes. "We honor our father by understanding all of him. We can address the shadow he left behind. We can tie the pieces back together," Emily said, her resolve growing stronger with each word. Together, Maddie chimed in, innocence shining brightly in the murky air. A nod of agreement passed between siblings, a silent oath to embrace the complexities of their lives. Just then, the atmosphere shifted, filled with anticipation and hope, overriding their fears. They had traversed the labyrinth of their past, and here stood the beginning of something vital, something powerful. Together, they could navigate down the winding road toward healing. Light pierced the darkness, the chaos giving way to clarity as they prepared to move forward, gathering strength from the secrets they had unveiled. For all the hurt, the truth was setting them free. And with Maddie's hand in hers, Emily felt an openness within her to mend not just her relationship with her sister, but take on the legacy of their father's love, however complicated it had been. "Let us find this box," she said, her heart pounding with possibility. "It's time to open the treasure." As they embarked on this new journey, the corridor holding whispered secrets began to feel like home, a haven where they could uncover, discover, and create anew. Laughter bubbled between siblings, weaving a tapestry of connection that would not only mend broken hearts, but create an unbreakable bond, draped in love. They were ready to face whatever awaited them, not just as a family tangled in past hurt, but as a brave new beginning with an unexpected sister and a future rich in possibilities. With every step they took, they embraced the depth of their truth, ready to reclaim their story, each twist, each revelation, pulling them closer together in ways they had never imagined. And beneath it all, the silence of the past that had loomed over their heads transformed into a symphony, a tribute to healing and a testament that family, no matter how fractured, could emerge anew. So, with newfound courage, they opened the door to potential with shining hearts, hearts that had begun to beat as one. It was indeed their moment to transform, and the adventure had only just begun. Now, if you felt the power of this transformation, you need to subscribe now to the channel. You must not miss the next exclusive stories that will continue to resonate with our lives. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Share your thoughts on this emotional conclusion in the comments below. Let us know how you felt throughout this journey. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who could benefit from this incredible transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel. Let us spread the love.